After decades of serving up pork chop sandwiches and cold pints of Guinness, Pug Mahon's Irish pub and its neighboring businesses are forced to close by the end of this week. This news follows the death of pub owner Bill McIntyre, better known as Mac, just last week. It was difficult news to swallow for those who worked in the building.
I got a phone call yesterday that was just very brief, saying that Saturday night is the last night that the building will be open.
Alyssa Landsverk took over Guido's Pizza less than a year ago. Now she'll have to close the doors.
Just shock, and there is so much involved, so many people's lives. There is a crew of waitresses over at Pugs who've been there 25, 30 years. There's kitchen staff that work day in and day out for Mac. There's the casino attendant next door has been there longer than I've been here.
Pug Mahon's, which has occupied its location since 1983, and the Bookie Casino were owned by Bill McIntyre. He also owned Guido's before gifting the business to Landsverk last year. McIntyre passed away on Saturday morning after battling cancer.
He was a wonderful, wonderful man. He took me in, like I said, basically off the streets, not knowing me from Adam, and gave me then last year everything in here and said that he just wanted to see me successful.
Landsverk said there was never a lease signed, and since McIntyre owned and operated the other businesses, there doesn't seem to be anything they can do to keep them from being shut down.
I know that towards the end, the last year or so, he was looking at his options as far as selling, being done, retiring, and I just think it all happened a little bit faster than anybody was ready for it.
Now, Mac was 77 at the time of his death, and his family, who now owns the building, plans to sell it, hoping to sell both the building and the liquor license together like Mac would have wanted. His brother, Kevin McIntyre, tells us Mac hoped another bar or restaurant would take the place of the iconic Pug Mahon's, maybe even keeping its name. Of course, since opening in 1983, St. Patrick's Day had always been the biggest day of the year for Pugs, celebrating the annual tradition with green beer, corned beef and cabbage, and smiles to go around.
Two kinds of people in this world, Irish and those that wish they were.
A funeral for Mac will be held on Friday, February 1st at the St. Thomas Church in Billings. A public reception will follow at the Knights of Columbus.